Welcome back to Colorado Sports Connection. We're talking with Haven Moses, and we're talking about their first Super Bowl appearance for the Denver Broncos. Haven, you guys clinched the playoff spot. You're in the playoffs. Talk about that experience. Go back and what you reflect on during that first game.
The first was against Pittsburgh, the Steelers. First of all, you have to remember that Pittsburgh and the next game, the championship game, was against the Oakland Raiders. Those two teams in the 70s dominated the AFC. I mean, out of the 10-year decade, I think between the two of them, they represented 75% of the AFC championships and Super Bowl representation. So to end up playing those two teams for the playoffs and for the championship, that really gave us a sense of validity in terms of us not backing into it, that we earned our way and respect into. We had the toughest schedule that season in the NFL, or in the top 5 of schedules of the NFL. So that, number one, gave us a sense of accomplishment. So that first game against Pittsburgh, the Steelers, Bradshaw, Swan, Joe Green, and all of them, we knew it was going to be a dogfight because they had been there before. And everyone was telling us that, the sports, the media, and what have you, that, these guys have the upper edge because they've been in this thing before and recently to that point. So we knew we had a fight on our hand, but we also knew we were playing at home and we had our fans. And that's what motivated us and stimulated us the whole year. The point I really would like to make about those two games would be one that for the first time ever for a city to host a playoff and a championship, it was unreal because usually you're on the road, you're a wild card, you're something. But for us, after all those years, 17 years, to be able to host the two playoff games, championship games there, it was a tribute to our fans, giving back to them. So we were truly fueled by having this opportunity to give something to our fans. And I think to the man, it was one that we weren't going to let them down, we weren't going to let the city down. And the first playoff game, I think, from my memory serves me correct, it was a very tough game for us because Pittsburgh came in with the heart of a champion, and they played to it. But our defense rose to the occasion, and we did offensively as well. When we found out we were going to play the Raiders for the championship game, that's when we knew we had arrived. I mean, all of a sudden we opened ourselves up to accepting the fact that we are here. We finally let the guard down to say, okay, now let's talk about it, but more importantly, let's represent ourselves to the highest level. That was a tough game. But again, our fans were there behind us all the way. They never sat down the whole game. They cheered us on. It was unbelievable. It was quite the experience.
And speaking of experience, what was it like knowing that you guys just beat, on the offensive side too, the Steel Curtain?
Well, certainly we wanted to contribute, to show we had had contribution to that season. Not that it mattered as much as it did that Orange Crush was, the thing that got us here, the faction that got us here. But offensively, we wanted to not let them down either. They played such great ball throughout the season, and in the playoffs, it was important for us to rise to the occasion. And I think on both sides of the ball, I'd never seen anything like it. Everybody played for everyone.
And then move on to the Raiders game. When you prepared for that game, and then when you guys finally clinched that game.
Well, first of all, Craig hadn't been practicing all week. The week before, he got hit in the hip. He had been in the hospital the whole week. So we practiced with Norris Weiss, and we had planned on playing without Craig. And for us not to have your starting quarterback go into the game, you really don't know what to expect. But for some reason, we never lost confidence in the fact that we still had players that were capable of making the plays. So that was number one. But then when it was all over with, it was just surreal.
And when you guys clinched that game, tell us a little bit about the fans, what they were like afterwards.
I don't know. I watched film afterwards. They rushed onto the field. They tore the goalpost down. This was huge.
And what about when somebody comes up to you and they show you what Tom Jackson had said to John Madden. Yes, it's all
Well,
over.
you know, that
Fat Man.
was, you know, we had gamemanship going as well. We finally got cocky. You know, we were pretty reserved because we knew that we had to take one game, 1 week at a time, and we didn't want to let our guard down or get ahead of ourselves. So when those things begin to happen, I think our true character began to come out, and we begin to express ourselves in terms of what our accomplishments. What we realized the magnitude of that accomplishment.
When we come back, we're going to then talk about the Super Bowl against the Dallas Cowboys. When we come back, we'll talk with Haven Moses right here on Colorado Sports Connection.